If today's presentation leaves you with more questions than answers, you won't be the only one. I don't know where the future of zero transportation is going to go, but Dr. Colin Herron is going to present today on the Propulsion Puzzle. It's a really interesting presentation, and I think you'll enjoy it. Hey there, Patrick Brewer here, Zero Emission Vehicle Fleet Advisor for the Clean BC Go Electric program, coming at you with another West Coast Electric Fleets video.
Today I'm going to talk about what is known as the Propulsion Puzzle. My name's Colin Herron. I'm Professor of Practice at Newcastle University, and I run a small department with the app name Zero Carbon Futures. One of the things that's coming forward is a simple layout of the transition process, because we've got to transition all of this one way or another. So what I look at is, in essence, we have a policy, a supply, technology, application, and infrastructure, and they all impact on each other. So effectively, the policy is what technology we're going to use, or what we have to do, by when we have to do it. The supply is who is actually going to supply this equipment. The technology at the moment is between battery and hydrogen, but something may come along which we're not sure of yet. The application is personal, your car, your bike, people movement and goods movement. That's the options. Combined to that, we have infrastructure. This is always the challenge. How much do we need? Where and when do we need it? What type do we need? And importantly, who is actually going to put it in place? Now, policy, supply, technology, and application all impact on infrastructure. However, technology impacts on the supply, it impacts on the policy, the application, and the infrastructure. Now, what we could be getting into, and this is an interesting area, is where policy is driving innovation. So we may get the innovation that we don't need, but the policy constraints are meaning we're choosing an innovation, i.e. technology, which might not be the right technology, but it fits the policy agenda. In the UK, where I live, there's a straightforward policy. After 2030, unless the vehicle has a plug, it is not for sale. That is a plug or a hydrogen gas nozzle. It cannot be sold. So it's FCEV, BEV, or PHEV. After 2035, the internal combustion engine is no more. We cannot have it in any format. This is still being discussed for buses and heavy goods vehicles, which I'll come on to. What we're starting to see is from a very few vehicles 10 years ago when I started to, for instance, vans. We are seeing a lot of light vans. In fact, under 3.5 ton in Europe, it is electric vans, and they're starting to come to the market. For a long time, we had to live with the Renault Kangoo and the Nissan ENV 200. But we now have Mercedes, Citroën, Renault, Ford, all entering the market, and Volkswagen. The van availabilities are different. They with prices and PHEV because they are testing the market. A small capacity battery with a heavy payload with long journeys will struggle. So the market is still trying to find which is the best technology for the best type of vehicle, for the vehicle. Not long ago in the UK, I think we had the choice of 3 electric vehicles. In Europe now, we have 117 vehicles on the market, which are either PHEV or BEV. And we have 2 fuel cell vehicles, which I'll come on to later. When we get to haulage, and that's the heavy vehicles, and I've been fortunate, I've traveled to North America and South America, especially to a place in Colombia, and I've watched the Mack, what I think they call semis, trying to go up the mountains to Bogota. I cannot, for the life of me, see how that will be replaced by a battery vehicle. A 3-hour journey up a mountain at about 6 miles an hour, pulling a massive load, is going to be a challenge. It will be for hydrogen, and it will be for other forms of possible propulsion. Unfortunately, in the UK, HCVs represent only 1.3% of road vehicles, with 17% of CO2 and 21% of NOx. We have 500,000 of these vehicles on the road. So what's the recharge options that we have in this puzzle? We actually have one option, which is the overhead pickup. That is the same as the overhead rail, where on freeways, motorways, autobahns, we have overhead cables. Scania trucks are actually testing this technology in Germany with autobahns with many kilometers of overhead wire. This is a simple technology. We know it works, and it solves the battery problem, because the battery is only required for the last mile delivery. Depot charging is another possibility for overnight charging to fill up in a large vehicle. What we are potentially seeing is large vehicles which operate within a region or a city will probably be depot charging. The challenge comes with the vehicle that's going to travel a long distance. And in Canada and America, there are long distances. Tesla are looking at en route charging, but high power charging. And there's other options, which is hydrogen. One of the things that we have to be clear is the amount of investment which will be required to put a hydrogen infrastructure in across Europe, across Canada, across America. We also have to tie this in with the policy decisions and the vehicle availability. If the vehicle manufacturers have not made the decision on what technology they're going to use, it's very, very difficult for investors to invest in a technology. We do not want parallel technologies where we're putting in massive electrical capacity, charging in megawatts, and hydrogen filling stations in the same location. We have the efficiency questions, which I'll come on to. The same problem we have with buses. In the UK and Europe, and I've seen in America and other areas, we are looking at opportunity charging, which is effectively a pantograph at a bus stop. When it stops, if it wants, it simply downloads, probably into a supercapacitor, then it will move to the next point. We also have trials with induction charging, but they are with smaller vehicles. The challenge with induction charging is if it's put into the ground, it's very expensive to do. And not only that, it's very expensive to relocate. I was once taught as an engineer, one of the most expensive things to ever move is a hole. There are also trials with hydrogen. Cities are looking at double-deck buses and single-deck buses with the hydrogen option, and also depot charging. So we're seeing cities in Europe and the UK where they have dual test trials going on of electric buses and hydrogen buses. At the moment, the numbers are swinging towards battery and overnight charging away from hydrogen. One of the advantages of hydrogen is effectively you can get about 300 miles range with a 5-minute fill. That's what is being sold for passenger vehicles. The negative, unfortunately, is the number of vehicles is very small, 2 at the moment, because Honda is putting out. They're also very expensive, and in most locations, there's actually nowhere to fill them. In 10 years in the UK, there has only been 234 registered. On a slide which I have included, there is a picture which is very graphic. On one side, it shows the annual sales or the quarter sales of battery versus FCEV. And the scale is in millions. So in Q3 2020, there was 1 million EV sales. There is nothing registered on the other graph, unfortunately. In Europe last year, there was 1 million vehicles registered with a plug, and there was 736 registered for hydrogen. That's 1 million versus 736. The global sales of fuel cell passenger cars is very static. At the moment, Toyota's is going down. Honda decided not to work in this area anymore. In all areas, apart from South Korea, the current sales are dropping. Another challenge we have with hydrogen is for one gas pump, the area which is required at the gas station to service that pump is large. It is probably something like 60 or more square meters. Yeah, about 60 or more square meters of land just for the equipment. We've also seen, and I use the UK as an example, in 2018, we had 12 fuel cell filling stations. In 2021, we still have 12. In the same year of 2018, we had 1,300 EV high power chargers. We now have 3,800 high power chargers. The efficiency is a challenge because a battery EV from grid to wheel is around 73, 77% efficient. And a fuel cell vehicle is 22%. It varies, some say it's 33, some say, but the ratio is the same of about 2.5%. An easy way I was told to explain this is that if it takes a wind turbine to power an electric vehicle for a year, it will take 2.5 wind turbines to power a hydrogen car for the year. That is quite graphic when you're talking about 35 million cars in countries such as the UK. The cost is also a problem. In the UK, it is around 10 to 15 pounds per kilogram. Substituting that into a Hyundai Nexo, etc., gives the following figures. For 100 kilometres, it's around UK £11.40. Just use it as a comparison. A battery electric vehicle charged at home will be £2.80. That's £2.80 versus 11. If we use high power chargers public, it would be around £7 versus 11. Unfortunately, the diesel is £2.70. So the hydrogen is almost twice as expensive as a diesel vehicle. The advantage with a private car is you can charge it at home, or you can slow charge it, or you can charge it at work. So for the private vehicle, it looks like the puzzle is pretty much over, that it will be battery. So we move to the summary of the discussion. In this technology puzzle going forward for vehicles, we have electric and hybrid. I've just spotted a spelling mistake in my document. Is well suited for cars, motorcycles, bikes, light vans, and local buses. Hydrogen has a real possibility for long haulage, long distance, coaches, and trains. Trains is another discussion which has to be looked at as what will replace diesel on long haul trains if they're not going electric. It is also possible in this technology puzzle that diesel will have to remain for some vehicles. So we're not actually going to do complete zero emission transport. We might be in a position such as I described in places like Colombia, where vehicles are having to do heavy haulage, where we have to simply accept we have to use diesel. The other thing that in this technology we have to discuss quite seriously is the life cycle analysis. Swapping one for the other might give you zero tailpipe emissions, but producing the propulsion method, the technology, might actually give a bigger carbon footprint just in a different location. This discussion is now very apt that we should be going away from tailpipe emissions to life cycle analysis. This has far-reaching consequences because it will start to question, where is the battery made? If the battery is made in a country with a basic coal-fired power grid, a grid powered by coal, that battery is going to be nowhere as clean as a battery made in a province or a country which is nuclear power or hydro or wind. So if we start to get taxes, taxes will impact on policy and it will impact on innovation and the technology puzzle. So policy right at the start will determine the reaction and the technology which is put forward. One of the challenges is that many of the individuals in this world do not understand the implications for them. You may not get a like-for-like car or a like-for-like truck. You may have to spend 20 minutes filling your car, not 5. You may have to do it more often, but you might be able to charge it at home. So the consequences are not fully understood. The solutions are not fully understood. And the other thing in the puzzle is the behavior of the driver is not known yet, because the driver who will be driving the vehicle has never driven that vehicle yet. And potentially the technology of the vehicle that they will get to drive will not be the same as the technology of the vehicle I'm driving. So I started with a 24 kilowatt hour vehicle. Now it's up to 30. Then it went to 40. Then it went to 60. Then we had 400 volt charging systems. Now we're going to 800 volt system. When I started, it was 3 kilowatt charging. Now it's 350 kilowatt hour, 350 kilowatt charging. So the technology puzzle and the infrastructure puzzle is ongoing as the technology keeps advancing, but we haven't determined the behaviors yet of the drivers and how they will behave and how they will use the infrastructure. Consequently, we simply at the moment do not know how much we need by type, by location, by time, because we don't know as yet how many vehicles the suppliers are going to put into the market, because that's determined in the case of electric by the battery plants. And we can only have one battery for one car. So without mass production of battery plants, we can't have mass production of cars. And that was my view of where we are on the technology puzzle. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Herron, for that presentation. So, audience, what do you think? How are we going to get the heavy haulage trucks in Colombia up that hill? I'm not sure yet. But I'm sure you guys have some opinions, so let's hear them. Fleets@pluginbc.ca. And if you're interested in the Go Electric Fleets rebate program that we got, or the Zero Emission Vehicle Advisor services that we got on offer, please contact me at fleets@pluginbc.ca or visit our website, pluginbc.ca. There you go, everyone. Have a great day. Cheers.